The massive view screen on the bridge of the Galactic Council's flagship displayed what their sensors had discovered: a small cluster of ships floating near the edge of an unremarkable solar system. Admiral Trell, a tall blue-skinned alien with gleaming silver eyes, let out a sound that might have been a laugh. "This is their defense fleet. Barely 20 ships," he said, mandibles clicking in amusement. "And look at their size. They're no larger than our scout vessels." The Council's diplomatic vessel had arrived at the edge of human space, expecting to find a properly impressive military force. After all, any species advanced enough for faster-than-light travel should have at least a basic armada. Instead, they found what looked like a collection of tiny vessels that could fit inside one of their standard cargo holds. "Initiating contact," announced the communications officer, their tentacles dancing across the control panel, broadcasting in all known frequencies. On the bridge of the Earth vessel ESS Defender, Admiral James Walker watched as the massive alien ship approached. His weathered face remained calm, though his eyes tracked every movement of the foreign vessel. The ship was enormous, easily 5 times the size of his command vessel. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Ross from her communication station. They're laughing, sir." Walker's expression didn't change. "Put it through." The view screen lit up with the image of Admiral Trell, whose towering form seemed to look down at the humans with barely concealed disdain. "Greetings, primitive vessel," Trell announced, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. "I represent the Galactic Council. We have come to evaluate your species for potential membership." Walker stood straighter, his military training evident in his posture. "This is Admiral James Walker of the Earth Space Service. We welcome peaceful contact with the Galactic Council." Trell's mandibles clicked rapidly, the alien equivalent of chuckling. "You call this a fleet? 20 ships to defend an entire solar system. Even the youngest spacefaring races maintain at least 100 capital ships." Behind Walker, his bridge crew maintained their professional composure, though some exchanged knowing glances. Lieutenant Ross's fingers tightened slightly on her console, but she remained silent. "We manage with what we have, Admiral Trell," Walker replied evenly. "Perhaps you'd like to discuss diplomatic relations rather than military assessments." The alien admiral waved one of his upper limbs dismissively. "The Council cannot waste time with species that cannot properly defend themselves. Your technological level is clearly insufficient. We will return when you have developed proper military capabilities." Walker's first officer, Commander Thompson, stepped closer to his commanding officer. "Sir, should we?" "Not yet, Commander," Walker said quietly. Then, louder, to the screen, "Admiral Trell, I strongly suggest you reconsider your assessment." "Reconsider?" Trell's translator somehow managed to convey his mockery. "Your entire fleet could fit in one of our hangars. We counted exactly 23 vessels, none larger than 300 meters in length. The Council does not admit species that would need constant protection." Walker's lips tightened slightly. "Numbers and size aren't everything, Admiral. We have evaluated thousands of species, human. We know primitive technology when we see it." Trell turned to someone off-screen. "End transmission. Mark this sector for review in 50 years, if they survive that long." The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, Commander Thompson cleared his throat. "They've made the same mistake as the others, sir." Walker nodded slowly, touching a small control panel on his command chair. "All ships, maintain current formation. Continue monitoring the Council vessel. Do not reveal Protocol Omega capabilities unless directly threatened." Acknowledgments came in from the other 22 ships in the fleet. To the alien observers, they looked like simple, almost primitive vessels. Small, lightly armed, and unimpressive. They couldn't see the quantum cores waiting to power up. They hadn't detected the advanced metamaterial hulls that could transform and combine. They had no idea that humanity had learned long ago that looking harmless was sometimes the best defense, and that appearances could be deceiving. "Send a message to Earth Command," Walker ordered. Tell them the Council reacted exactly as expected. Request permission to proceed with Phase 2 if they become hostile. Yes, sir, Lieutenant Ross replied, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Should I include the bit about fitting in their hangar? Walker finally allowed himself a slight grin. Definitely include that part. I think they're going to regret those words very soon. The tiny fleet continued its patrol, waiting quietly as the massive Council ship prepared to depart. They looked harmless, defenseless, primitive, exactly as planned. 3 days after the Galactic Council's dismissive first contact, Earth's supposedly tiny fleet continued its regular patrol pattern. But beneath the calm exterior, preparations were underway. Intelligence report coming in. Admiral, Lieutenant Ross announced, her fingers moving swiftly across her console. Long-range sensors have detected multiple Council warships entering the sector. Current count stands at 200 vessels. Admiral Walker stood from his command chair, studying the tactical display. Red dots appeared at the edge of the screen, showing the approaching armada. They certainly didn't waste any time. Status of Protocol Trojan Horse. All ships report ready, sir, Commander Thompson replied. The Council still hasn't detected our quantum signatures. Their scans keep bouncing off our outer hulls. Walker nodded, remembering the first time humanity had encountered hostile aliens 15 years ago. That war had taught them valuable lessons about appearing weak. The aliens had attacked without warning, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they'd encountered humanity's real military technology. Message from Earth Command. Sir, Ross interrupted. They're giving us full authorization for Protocol Omega if the Council ships show hostile intent. The bridge crew straightened in their seats. They all knew what Protocol Omega meant, the full activation of their ship's true capabilities. Incoming transmission from the Council fleet, Ross reported. They're not even trying to hide their approach. The main screen lit up, showing Admiral Trell again. This time, he was standing on a much larger bridge, surrounded by other alien officers. Attention primitive human vessels, Trell announced, his mandibles clicking in what seemed like anticipation. The Council has decided to expedite your species evaluation. You will power down your ships and prepare for boarding. We will assess your technology directly. Walker kept his face carefully neutral. That's an unusual request, Admiral Trell. Our ships are fully functional and pose no threat to you. There's no need for boarding. This is not a request, Trell replied. We have detected unusual energy readings from your vessels. The Council must verify you haven't acquired technology beyond your development level. 200 of our warships have you surrounded. Resistance would be unwise. Commander Thompson leaned closer to Walker. Sir, their ships are moving into attack formation. They're charging weapons. All ships, maintain current positions, Walker ordered calmly. Initiate silent countdown for Protocol Omega. Lieutenant Ross, please remind our friends about the last species that tried to board Earth vessels without permission. Ross smiled slightly. Transmitting historical records of the Battle of Alpha Centauri, sir. The data stream hit the Council's ships, showing recordings of Earth's previous encounter with hostile aliens. The footage showed small Earth ships suddenly transforming, combining, and utterly destroying the superior force. Trell's expression changed as he watched, his mandibles freezing mid-click. These records, they cannot be real. Your ships are too small for such capabilities. Size can be deceiving, Admiral, Walker replied. So can numbers. I suggest you reconsider your current course of action. These are tricks, fabricated recordings. Trell's composure slipped slightly. No species could hide such technology from our scanners. Your primitive fleet will submit to inspection, or we will take your ships by force. Walker sighed, touching his command console. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega. Show them why humanity doesn't need a large fleet. Around the tiny Earth fleet, space itself seemed to ripple. The quantum cores hidden within each vessel hummed to life. their true power finally awakening. "Sir," Thompson reported, "Council ships are charging weapons. They're targeting our engines." "Let them fire first," Walker ordered. "Then we'll show them exactly what humanity's primitive technology can do." The first Council ship launched its attack, a bright beam of energy streaking toward the Earth vessels. It was the moment they'd been waiting for. "All ships, execute transformation sequence," Walker commanded. "Let's show the Council why you should never judge a book by its cover." The tiny Earth fleet began to change, their seemingly simple hulls shifting and flowing like liquid metal. What had looked like 23 small primitive vessels was about to become something else entirely. And Admiral Trell, watching from his flagship bridge, was about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating humanity. The storm was about to break. Admiral Trell watched in disbelief as the human ships began to change. The supposedly primitive vessels' outer hulls rippled like water, their structures flowing and reshaping in ways that should have been impossible. "Impossible," he whispered, his mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. Our scans showed no signs of metamaterial technology. On the bridge of the ESS Defender, Admiral Walker smiled slightly as he gave the next command. "All ships, initiate combination sequence Alpha. Let's show them what humanity's tiny fleet can really do." The 23 Earth vessels moved in perfect synchronization. Their hulls, now fluid and shifting, began to merge together. Small corvettes flowed into each other, forming larger ships. Support vessels combined with destroyers, their structures interweaving at the molecular level. "Sir," one of Trell's officers shouted, "the human vessels, they're growing. Energy readings are off the scale." Where 23 small ships had floated moments before, now stood 7 larger vessels. But they weren't done transforming. "Council fleet is holding position," Lieutenant Ross reported from her station. "They appear to be stunned." "Sir." Walker nodded. "As expected. Begin phase 2 of the transformation. Let's give them something really impressive to look at." The 7 ships began to move again, their hulls still flowing and changing. They came together in a complex dance, joining and combining into larger and larger forms. The quantum cores hidden within each vessel pulsed with power, guiding the transformation. On the Council flagship's bridge, alarms blared as their sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "Admiral Trell," Walker's voice came through clear and calm. "I believe you said something about our fleet fitting in your hangar. Would you care to revise that assessment?" Where the tiny Earth fleet had been, now floated 3 massive vessels. Each one was larger than the Council flagship, their sleek hulls gleaming with advanced technology that had been perfectly hidden until now. "This is a trick," Trell insisted, but his voice wavered. "Some kind of holographic deception." "No trick, Admiral," Walker replied. "This is human engineering at its finest. We learned long ago that looking harmless is sometimes the best defense. Your sensors couldn't detect our true capabilities because we designed them specifically to be overlooked." The 3 massive Earth ships moved into a triangle formation, their weapons ports opening. Each vessel now bristled with advanced weapon systems that had been concealed within their supposedly primitive hulls. New energy readings from the human ships, Trell's science officer reported, their voice shaking. "Their power output, it's higher than anything in our database." Walker's voice came through again. "Your fleet has 2 options, Admiral Trell. You can retreat and inform the Council that they severely underestimated humanity's technological level, or you can attack, and will be forced to demonstrate exactly why Earth doesn't need a large fleet to defend itself." The transformed Earth ships' engines glowed with barely contained power. Their combined size now dwarfed most of the Council fleet, and their weapons were clearly trained on the alien vessels. "How?" Trell demanded. "How did you hide this technology from our scans?" "The same way humanity has survived and thrived for thousands of years," Walker answered. "By being smarter, not bigger. By innovating instead of intimidating. And by remembering that appearances can be deceiving." Commander Thompson approached Walker's chair. "Sir, the Council fleet's weapons are powering down. They're backing away." "A wise choice," Walker said. "Lieutenant Ross, please transmit our complete technological specifications to the Council fleet. I think they're ready to see exactly what they were mocking." The data stream hit the Council ships, showing the full capabilities of Earth's transforming vessels, the quantum cores that powered them, the metamaterial hulls that could change shape at will, and the advanced AI systems that coordinated it all. By the ancient stars, Trell breathed as he read the specifications. "Your ships, they're not just vessels. They're humanity's answer to being underestimated." Walker finished for him. "Now shall we discuss that Galactic Council membership?" As equals this time, the massive Earth ships hung in space, their true power finally revealed. The Council fleet, despite outnumbering them, kept their distance. They'd learned an important lesson: never judge a human fleet by its size. Admiral Trell's pride wouldn't let him retreat, despite the shocking transformation of the human fleet. "All ships, attack formation Delta. They may have size now, but we still have numbers." The Council fleet moved to surround the three massive Earth vessels, their weapons charging. 200 ships against 3 should have been overwhelming odds. Should have been. "They're not backing down," Commander Thompson observed on the bridge of the transformed ESS Defender. "Looks like we'll have to show them the rest of our capabilities." Admiral Walker nodded calmly. "All ships, initiate final transformation sequence. Combat protocols authorized." The 3 huge Earth vessels began to change again. Their hulls split and shifted, sections breaking apart and reforming. What had seemed like solid metal flowed like quicksilver, reshaping itself with impossible precision. "By the void," one of Trell's officers shouted. "The human ships, they're multiplying." Trell finished, his mandibles clicking rapidly in shock. The 3 large vessels had split into 30 smaller but still impressive ships. Each one was now the size of a Council cruiser, and they moved with perfect coordination, forming an intricate web around the alien fleet. "Impossible." Trell slammed his upper limbs against his command console. "No species has mastered matter replication at this scale." Walker's voice came through again, calm as ever. "Not replication, Admiral. Simple physics and advanced engineering. Each part of our ships is made up of smaller, independent units. We can combine or separate them at will." The Earth ships demonstrated this by continuing to shift and change. Some grew larger, others smaller, all moving in perfect synchronization. The Council fleet's tactical advantage of numbers was rapidly disappearing. "Sir," Lieutenant Ross reported, "Council ships are attempting to target our control ships. Their sensors are still confused by our quantum signatures." Walker smiled slightly. "Let them try. All ships, activate point defense systems. Show them why humanity focused on quality over quantity." The Council fleet opened fire, their energy weapons streaking through space. But the Earth ships moved with impossible agility, their metamaterial hulls flowing around the attacks like water around rocks. Not a single shot hit its target. "Return fire," Walker ordered. "Minimal force. Let's not destroy their ships if we don't have to." The Earth vessels responded with precise, targeted shots. Each blast disabled a Council ship's weapons, but caused no structural damage. The demonstration of accuracy was clear. They could have destroyed the ships, but chose not to. "Admiral Trell," Walker transmitted, "your fleet is now surrounded by vessels that can outmaneuver and outgun anything you have. Would you like to reconsider your position?" On his bridge, Trell watched as more of his ships reported weapons systems failures. His fleet of 200 was being systematically disabled by what had started as just 23 tiny vessels. "How?" he demanded. "How did your species develop this technology without anyone knowing?" "Because everyone did exactly what you did," Walker replied. "They saw our small fleet and assumed we were primitive. They never looked deeper, never considered that we might have chosen quality over quantity." The Earth ships continued their deadly dance, disabling more Council vessels with each passing moment. Their fluid transformations made them impossible to target effectively, while their own weapons found their marks with perfect accuracy. Signal from Council Command, Ross announced. They're ordering Admiral Trell to stand down immediately. The Council fleet's weapons powered down. Trell's massive flagship hung motionless among his disabled vessels, surrounded by the ever-shifting Earth ships. A wise decision, Walker said. Commander Thompson, signal Earth Command. Inform them that the Council fleet has been pacified and request diplomatic vessels for formal contact. The Earth ships began combining again, merging back into their larger forms. But now the Council fleet knew what they were capable of, how each vessel could split into multiple independent ships, each one a deadly combination of advanced technology and tactical precision. Remember this moment, Admiral Trell, Walker transmitted. Remember that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our numbers or our size, but in our ability to adapt and innovate. Your fleet just learned why Earth doesn't need a massive armada for defense. The transformed Earth ships hung in space, their fluid hulls gleaming in the starlight. They were living proof that sometimes the smallest fleet could be the deadliest. And the Galactic Council would never look at human ships the same way again. With the Council fleet neutralized, Admiral Walker decided it was time for a full demonstration of human engineering. All ships, initiate technology demonstration sequence. Let's educate our guests. The Earth vessels began a choreographed display of their capabilities. Their hulls shifted and flowed, showing how each section could operate independently or as part of a larger whole. Transmitting technical briefing, Lieutenant Ross announced, showing them exactly what they're dealing with. On the Council flagship's bridge, Admiral Trell and his officers watched in stunned silence as the data streamed across their screens. The quantum cores that powered the human ships didn't just provide energy. They controlled the very structure of the vessels themselves. Each ship, Walker explained through the comm channel, is made up of millions of nanoscale units. They can reconfigure into any form we need, combining or separating at will. Your sensors couldn't detect them because each unit has its own stealth field. To demonstrate, one of the Earth ships split into dozens of smaller vessels, each one still fully armed and combat-ready. Then they merged back together, the process taking mere seconds. Our developers called it the Lego principle, Walker continued, after an ancient human toy. Small pieces that can build anything. But we took it several steps further. Trell's science officer was frantically analyzing the data. Sir, their technology. It's beyond anything in our database. The power requirements alone should be impossible, but they've solved it with these quantum cores. Another Earth ship demonstrated its defensive capabilities, its hull flowing around a test blast like liquid metal before reforming instantly. No damage, no impact, just smooth adaptation. The same technology that lets us transform, Walker explained, also makes us nearly impossible to damage. Your weapons can't lock onto a target that's constantly changing its structure. And the weapons? Trell asked, his voice barely a whisper. In response, one of the Earth ships created a precision beam that sliced through an asteroid near the Council fleet. The cut was so clean, so perfect, that the two halves didn't even drift apart until the ship fired a second beam that reduced both pieces to dust. Quantum-aligned energy weapons, Walker said, powered by the same cores that run our transformation systems. Precise enough to disable a single weapon on a ship without damaging anything else, or powerful enough to reduce that ship to atoms. The Council fleet's sensors recorded everything, documenting capabilities that their scientists had thought impossible. The Earth ships weren't just advanced, they represented a completely different approach to space warfare. But how do you coordinate? Trell asked. Such complex transformations across multiple ships. Quantum AI networks, Walker replied. Each ship has its own artificial intelligence, all linked together through quantum entanglement. They can coordinate their actions perfectly, no matter the distance between them. To prove his point, The Earth ships performed a series of intricate maneuvers, splitting and combining in patterns so complex they seemed to defy physics. Each movement was perfect, precise, beautiful in its complexity. "This is why Earth never built a large fleet," Walker explained. "We didn't need one. Each of our ships can become a fleet unto itself. Quality over quantity. Adaptation over brute force." Lieutenant Ross's console beeped. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions from multiple Council worlds. They're requesting technology sharing agreements." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Inform them that Earth will be happy to discuss technological cooperation once the Council formally acknowledges us as equals." The Earth ships began returning to their standard configurations, though now there was no hiding their true nature. Their hulls still shifted slightly, like living metal, a constant reminder of the technology they contained. "Admiral Trell," Walker said, "your fleet will be escorted back to Council space by one of our ships. Just one. I trust that will be sufficient." Trell could only nod, watching as his single Earth vessel, one that could become 20 at a moment's notice, moved into position near his flagship. The message was clear. Humanity didn't need size or numbers to be powerful. They had something far more valuable: innovation, adaptation, and the ability to turn a single ship into an entire fleet. The age of underestimating human technology was over, and the galaxy would never be the same. 2 weeks after the confrontation, Admiral Walker stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session. The massive chamber held representatives from 1,000 worlds, all focused intently on the human admiral. "Let the record show," the Council leader announced, "that we have severely misjudged humanity's technological capabilities. The demonstration provided by their fleet has forced us to reconsider many of our assumptions." The massive screens around the chamber showed recordings of the Earth ships transforming. Many Council members leaned forward, studying the footage with intense interest. "Our initial assessment was flawed," Admiral Trell admitted, standing before his peers. "We saw a small fleet and assumed primitive technology. We were wrong, dangerously wrong." Walker stepped forward. "Humanity has never believed that bigger means better. We focused on innovation rather than intimidation. Every ship in our fleet represents decades of research and development." The chamber erupted in discussion as new data appeared on the screens. Detailed analysis of the Earth ship's capabilities. The quantum cores, the transforming hulls, the AI networks, all of it far beyond what the Council had thought possible. But why hide such advancement? A reptilian Council member asked. "Why maintain the appearance of a primitive fleet?" "Because it worked," Walker replied simply. "Every hostile species we encountered made the same mistake you did. They saw our small fleet and thought we would be easy prey. That assumption gave us an advantage." The Council leader's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "And now, why reveal your true capabilities?" "Because it's time for humanity to take its place among the galaxy's powers," Walker said. "Not as a primitive species needing protection, but as equals. Partners." Screens around the chamber now showed the Earth ships escorting the Council fleet home. One human vessel had been sufficient, a fact that had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. "Multiple worlds have already requested diplomatic relations with Earth," a Council aide announced. "The technology sharing requests alone number in the hundreds." Walker nodded. "Earth is prepared to share some of our advancements. Under proper agreements, of course. We believe cooperation is better than competition." Admiral Trell stepped forward again. "I move that humanity be granted immediate full membership in the Galactic Council. Their technology alone qualifies them, but their restraint in dealing with our unfortunate assumptions proves their wisdom." The Council chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. A species they had dismissed as primitive just weeks ago was now being considered for full membership, a process that usually took decades. "Admiral Walker," the Council leader said, "your ships could have destroyed our fleet. Why show mercy?" "Because humanity has learned that true strength isn't about destruction," Walker replied. "It's about adaptation, innovation, and knowing when not to fight. We disabled your weapons without harming your ships. That was not an accident. The screen showed new images, Earth's fleet returning to its smaller configuration, though now everyone understood the power hidden within those modest vessels. The vote is unanimous, the council leader announced. Earth is granted full council membership, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. Walker bowed slightly. Earth accepts and looks forward to sharing our innovations with peaceful species throughout the galaxy. As the session ended, Admiral Trell approached Walker. Your ships, they could have become even larger, couldn't they? Split into even more vessels. Walker smiled. Admiral, what you saw was less than half of our capabilities. We believe in holding something in reserve. The council chamber slowly emptied, its members still discussing the implications of humanity's revelation. The species they had mocked for its tiny fleet had proven to be one of the most technologically advanced civilizations in known space. Send word to Earth Command, Walker told his communicator. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The galaxy now knows enough about our capabilities to respect us, but not enough to fear us. And Phase 2? Trell asked, overhearing. That's simple, Walker replied. We help build a better galaxy. Together, as equals. The massive council chamber, with its 1,000 empty seats, seemed to echo with the weight of change. The day would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned a crucial lesson. Never judge a civilization by the size of its fleet, especially if that civilization is human. 1 year after humanity's dramatic revelation to the Galactic Council, Admiral Walker stood on the observation deck of Earth's new Council Embassy Station. Below him, ships from 100 different species moved through space, many of them incorporating elements of human technology. Amazing how much can change in a year, Commander Thompson said, joining him at the window. Remember when they thought we were primitive? Walker smiled, watching as one of Earth's transforming ships escorted a diplomatic vessel. Hard to believe anyone ever thought our fleet was too small. Now they understand why we focused on quality over quantity. The station's AI announced a priority message from Earth Command. The holographic display showed the latest statistics. Over 50 species had signed technology-sharing agreements with humanity. 15 more were in negotiations. Sir, Lieutenant Ross called from her station. The first joint species ship is ready for its test flight. The main viewport shifted, showing a newly constructed vessel. It combined council materials with human transformation technology, the first of its kind. Its hull gleamed with the same fluid characteristics as Earth ships, but incorporated alien design elements. A true partnership, Walker said. Exactly what we hoped for. The story of Earth's tiny fleet had become legend throughout the galaxy. It was now taught in military academies on 1,000 worlds as a lesson in humility and the danger of assumptions. Young officers learned that appearance and size meant nothing compared to innovation and intelligence. Message from Admiral Trell, Ross announced. The Council's Defense Committee has officially adopted the human doctrine of adaptive warfare. Walker nodded, remembering how the proud alien admiral had become one of humanity's strongest supporters after witnessing their true capabilities. Now Trell led the effort to remake the Council's military forces, focusing on quality and adaptability rather than overwhelming numbers. The Quantum Core production facility is online, Thompson reported. We're ready to begin sharing the technology with our most trusted allies. The decision to share their advanced technology hadn't been easy, but humanity understood that true peace came through cooperation, not superiority. They kept certain advancements secret, of course. Every species did. But the basic principles of their transforming ships were now helping to create a more stable galaxy. Contact from the Border Patrol, Ross said. Another group of pirates took one look at a single Earth ship and surrendered immediately. She grinned. They'd heard the stories. The reputation of Earth's fleet had spread far beyond Council space. The sight of even one human vessel was enough to make most hostile forces reconsider their plans, not because of fear, but because of respect. Sir, Thompson said, the new Council chambers are ready. They're waiting for Earth's representative. Walker straightened his uniform. As humanity's first permanent representative to the Galactic Council, he had a responsibility to uphold the principles that had brought them here: innovation, adaptation, and wisdom. Times have changed, he said, looking out at the busy space lanes. A year ago, they mocked our fleet. Now they understand that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our ships. It's in our ability to think differently. The observation deck's displays showed several Earth vessels performing their regular patrol. They shifted seamlessly between forms, their quantum cores humming with power, their AI systems coordinating complex maneuvers that still amazed other species. Humanity's time has come, Walker continued, not to dominate, but to lead by example, to show the galaxy that true power isn't about size or numbers. It's about innovation, Thompson added. And adaptation, Ross said. And knowing when not to fight, Walker finished. That's the lesson our tiny fleet taught the galaxy. As if to emphasize his words, one of the Earth ships outside transformed, its hull flowing like liquid metal as it changed from a small patrol vessel into a massive defensive platform. The sight still drew amazed watchers from passing ships. The galaxy had learned not to judge by appearances. The species they had dismissed as primitive had become one of their greatest teachers, and humanity's fleet, once mocked for its size, had become legendary. Not for its numbers, not for its weapons, but for proving that sometimes the smallest fleet could be the most powerful. And that was a lesson the galaxy would never forget.